This time, I will be introducing the world-famous Series 2 of Systematic Thinking for Factory Improvement written by Professor Shigeo Shingo, and how to use it in a picture book, focusing on the contents that Mr. Shigehiro Nakamura NAKASIN actually used. Repeated successful experiences improve a person's abilities and life, not only for famous athletes, but also in different industrial sectors. There, people seek more value in life, and valuable information, along with wisdom, awareness of problems and curiosity, should become the subject matter. This figure shows a shortcut to succeeding in the manufacturing industry, but in Series 2, we will introduce how to make use of Professor Shingo's calligraphy along with the contents of this figure. Professor Shingo realized how to innovate manufacturing technology when he visited a German company. Die casting is a type of equipment that injects aluminum into a mold in a short time to produce efficiently. However, this method causes burrs, which are aluminum that leaks out from gaps in the mold and hardens, which is a problem that all companies face. However, there were no burrs at the German company he visited. The reason for this is that they used a method of removing air from inside the mold before casting. It may seem obvious, but burrs are generated when the aluminum is injected into the mold at high speed, and the fixed mold opens due to high pressure, which opens the mold into which the aluminum is injected. During this visit, Professor Shingo realized that the problem is that we don't notice the air. Furthermore, he thought that the act of questioning things that everyone has taken for granted is the basis for innovation in manufacturing technology. This is also the main point that will be introduced in this series. I would like to introduce an example that is similar to the previously mentioned measures to eliminate burrs in die casting, but which requires awareness when applied to a different type of work. In the industrial world, there are consultants and improvement instructors who insist that standing is the norm in manufacturing. In response to this, Professor Shingo's scientific analysis results in the figure shown here. Obviously, if you try working yourself, you will immediately understand that if you choose to stand up to do work that can be done while sitting, you will get tired and your efficiency will decrease. But why do these people insist on working while standing? I don't understand. This is a case where Professor Shingo was consulted by a Japanese mandarin canning factory, where he implemented measures in a short time and got results. There are famous mandarin orange producing areas in Japan, and at one of these factories, temporary workers were hired during peak times to remove fall-style mandarin oranges using the procedure shown in this figure. The problem was that the workers had low skills, and the fruits were damaged with knives, resulting in a large amount of waste. After much deliberation, Professor Shingo came up with the idea while in the car on the way to the new location. I want the veterans to focus on the knife work. The temporary workers will only be in charge of peeling. He returned to the factory, and this measure not only reduced defects to almost zero, but also increased productivity by 1.3 times. Mr. Nakamura and the other members of the JMA Production Innovation Committee heard an explanation of the mandarin peeling countermeasures around 1975. At that time, Professor Shingo said in a lecture, this time, in addition to the Process Analysis Improvement Rule ECRS, I added the division rule. But improvement is eternal. I would like everyone to further develop this improvement plan. For this reason, this figure is an example of the results of the analysis by the Production Technology Committee. The vertical axis is the 5M of production, men and women, methods, measurements, machines, materials. The horizontal axis is the time required for training and the size of defects. Using this analysis, Professor Shingo came up with an idea at the men and women stage, but if you use the measurements above, since the thickness of the mandarin peel is fixed, the use of a jig with a stopper that measures and determines the thickness of the mandarin peel should lead to further improvement. The peak time for processing mandarin oranges comes every year at this factory. Since we are now in the age of IoT, inexpensive automation is essential to deal with this situation. Using the previous figure, I imagine that the automation measures shown in this figure will be an example of further improvement, based on the analysis of the 5Ms. In this way, in this video, Professor Shingo wrote a method of improvement for reviewing work based on realizations. Furthermore, Mr. Nakamura and his colleagues used this to improve the content, and 3 people from the hypothetical company A formed a project team to summarize the efforts and progress that everyone in the factory will use in a picture book, and this introductory video introduced one example. Thank you very much for watching the introduction to this picture book. The above explanation is the gist of this picture book. You can also get it at this URL. Amazon Prime members can watch it for free.